Right, okay, continuing on from the last video. Okay, so now we've got in place our key, and we've set up a new instance of the Tapt-In class, the API class. We're now going to look into using a porting reference to log into our game. Now, what the porting reference is if we go back over to here, in order for me to show you what the porting reference is, I need to add the game URL. Obviously, because we're going straight to the index, that's fine. Right, so we can update the URL. The URL has been updated. We go back to our development team page. We now have a new little link here. It says log into, and then it'll be your game name. Now if you look down at the bottom, you can see you have the link, and you also have a get variable with a random string on the end. Now that random string is a unique porting reference which is changed every time the page is refreshed. So if I just refresh this, see, the porting reference has changed. Now this porting reference is used to call to our user database and obtain some certain information for that player. Now the idea behind this is that it provides a safe and hopefully a hack-free way of logging into developers' games, and it also gives the user peace of mind that no one else can access a game via their account without actually logging into their account. I mean, to guess something like that probably take quite a while to formulate that specific string. Okay, so now I'll sort of explain what the porting reference is in regards to the Tapt-In. Let's go back over to a page, and what we need to do now is we need to declare we need something to return the user information to. So I'm going to call it's a variable called user info. And if you used classes before, or object-oriented programming, you should know how to call functions within classes. It's this little arrow here. User is obviously what we assigned the new instance of the API to. And if you go back over to the website or into your handbook, it gives a brief overview of what each of the it sort of tells you how to set up the API, and then it gives you a quick sort of explanation and reasons for using each of the current functions within the API itself. Now the one we're looking at is user by port. This is using the porting reference. There is also user by ID and test user data. The information user by port retrieves is displayed here. Is obviously the user's ID, because we're not sending over any form of ID to the login page, because otherwise it would just be too easy to obviously hack into an account. We get the user's name, the player's username. We get their gender, the language. Obviously, the language setting is for will be for multilingual use at Tapt-In.net. Currently it doesn't support it, as I can't speak a word of any other language. And the other one is time zone. Obviously time zone is there for use of manipulating time, if other players are in other countries, or have a different time zone to other users. A user by ID is simply will be mainly used for collecting other players' information. Obviously, if you want one user to interact with another user, you're not passing over any kind of reference for the other user. So you can simply use that user's ID to request information, and the information returned there is username, gender, language, and time zone. And the test user data is purely for offline development, or if you want to allow other members of Tapt-In to log into your game and use it as a test user. It has its own user ID of 10,062. Don't know why, but that's what it is. The username is test user. It's a male, gender is male. It returns language of English and returns a UTC time zone. Now these can all be changed within the Tapt-In API itself if you sort of feel the need to. Okay, so going back to the script, what we want is user by port. So just quickly copy that. It all needs to be lowercase. User by port. Now, user by port needs a porting reference supplied, and as I explained, the porting reference is contained in the get variable port. So we just want to do a quick get port. This will supply the API with the user's porting reference for it to look up. You can, if you want to escape it, using strip slashes and things like that, but it does get sort of stripped and slashed on the Tapt-In side of things. Once we've declared that, what we just want to do is we will echo out, what should I say? Please nil. We want to print the array that's returned from the user by port, and we will echo them out in pre-tags just to make it look a bit nicer. Okay, so obviously if we go to our index and we refresh, nothing's appearing. It's probably because we haven't actually we haven't saved the file. That'd be why nothing's appearing. So back over to here, we should have the user info array displayed in front of us. Now, nothing was returned in regards to user ID, the user's username, gender, language, time zone. We did receive an error because the porting reference was empty. There's we've obviously supplied no porting reference. If we supply it with just a random string. We obviously know that doesn't link to anyone's specific account, so that will return null on the user's information, and it was return an error saying there's no user, also because it couldn't find a user with that porting reference. The other error that we will receive, if I just edit this, is data key not found. Obviously, if you're accessing the API, you need to supply a certain key in order to access further into the API. And if the data key was not found, obviously it's not going to let you access any further. So if we go back to our script and save that. So if we now go back to here, we'll close this off, and we go back to our development team, and we go to login to white label. What we should now see is correct information returned for my user. And there we have it. That's my user's ID. That's my username. My gender. 1 is for male, 2 is for female. My language settings, and my time zone settings. And as you can see, the errors is empty. So we can use this information. We can use the errors part of the array to develop the next part, or to work on the next part. So we've gone through how to use the API. That's all fine. We now want to build the transfer login script. If we get rid of this, before my time runs out, what I will simply do is show you the quick check we want to make to determine whether the user that's been supplied to us, the reference that's been supplied to us is correct, and we have received user information back. So if we do if is empty, user info, and we want the errors key. So what we're saying here is if the errors part of the array is empty, then we want one result, and if it's not, we need another result. So what I'll do here is echo out logged in, and else we will for now we'll just put that, save that. Now if we go back over to here, and if we refresh, we will see that we've become logged in. If I'm to edit that, it's false information because that porting reference is not recognised by it refers to nothing, and there's no user for that porting reference. Okay, so I'm going to stop here before my time runs out, and then we will continue with the the transfer login script on the next video.